Okay, today we're going to continue to work with polynomials. And what you're going to be doing today, two sections. First section is you're going to be finding zeros of polynomials. So if you're asked to find the zeros of each function. Now, yesterday you had to write the function in factored form. Today, you're going to be given the function in factored form. So if you're asked to find the zeros of each function and you've got y is equal to x plus 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 3. In order to find the zero of a function, you set each factor of the function equal to 0. So some of you won't have to do this next step, but here's the math way to do it. You take x plus 2, you make it equal to 0. You take your x minus 1, make it equal to 0. And you take the x minus 3 and make it equal to 0. And then you just solve each of these equations. So you subtract 2 here from each side, and you get a 0 that's equal to negative 2. You add 1 to each side of this middle equation, and you get a 0 that's equal to positive 1. And then you add 3 here to each side, and you get a 0 that's equal to positive 3. So then you list your zeros as negative 2, 1, and 3. We okay with that? All right, another way you may see your polynomial written or your function written would be y is equal to an x by itself outside of parentheses, and then we got an x minus 3 and an x plus 5. All right, so again, just make each of the three factors equal to 0. So you get an x that's equal to 0, x minus 3 equal to 0, and x plus 5 equal to 0. So you've already got one of the zeros, which is at 0. The second 0 would be at positive 3, and the third 0 would be at x equals negative 5. So your three zeros here would be 0, 3, and negative 5. Now, in the second part of your assignment, you're going to be asked to write a function in standard form with the given zeros. So now, when you had these three zeros, come on now. When you had these 3 zeros in the previous example, a 0, a 3, and a -5, these were your factors, x, x minus 3, and x plus 5. Agreed? When you had these as your zeros, a -2, a 1, and a 3, your factors were x plus 2, x minus 1, and x minus 3. Okay? So what you're doing now is you're doing the problem in reverse. You're going to be given the zeros, you're going to have to write the factors, and then you're going to have to multiply. So here's how that works. If we have to write a function in standard form with the given zeros, and you are given some zeros like -2, 2, and 3. So -2, 2, and 3. If we have the zeros, -2, 2, and 3, the next step would be to write this function in factored form. So our first factor would be x plus 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 3. Agreed? All right, now you have to do some multiplication. All right. So now what you do is you take this first factor and you multiply it by the second factor. So you take x times x, which is x squared. X times -2 is -2x. 2 times x is positive 2x. And 2 times -2 is -4. You bring along the third factor, which is x minus 3. Now, in this first product, we got to combine like terms. And look, this -2x and positive 2x, those cancel each other out. So we're left with x squared minus 4. And we got to multiply that by x minus 3. So we needed to do the distributive property twice again. We've got x squared times x, which is x to the third. X squared times -3, -3x squared. -4 times x, -4x. And the -4 times the -3, that's positive 12. So here is your function in standard form when you're given the zeros. You guys okay with that? Anybody need to see another example if you're given the zeros? Okay. Let's say that we are given 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6 are our zeros. If we write this in factored form, we get y equals x minus 4 times x minus 5 times x minus 6. Agreed? Then we're going to multiply the first two binomials. Now, some of you Well, remember, when you factor a trinomial, you get two binomials, right? Well, and your binomials multiply to the trinomial. So you could either do this double distributive property here, or you can say that x times x is equal to x squared. And if I add the -5 and the -4, I get -9x. And if I multiply the -4 times the -5, I get +20. And that's the product of those two binomials. You're just using your technique from factoring to multiply. And then you drop down your x minus 6. Now there's no shortcut left because you have to multiply everything in the left set of parentheses by everything in the right set of parentheses. So you got your x squared times your x, which gives you x to the third. You've got your, let's see the easiest way to do this. You got your x squared times your -6. So that's -6x squared. You got to take your -9x and multiply it by the x, and that gives you -9x squared. And the -9x times the -6, that's +54x. And now you got the 20 times the x, which is +20x. And you got the 20 times the -6. And 20 times -6 would be -120. And then you got to clean this up by combining like terms. So we get y is equal to, we got an x to the third. We got this -6x squared minus 9x squared. So that's going to give us a minus 15x squared. We got a +54x and a +20x. So that's +74x. And then the 120, the -120. So there's your function in standard form given these three zeros. Any questions? All right, then your practice for today is going to be on page 293 again. And let's do 16 through 23. Page 293, 16 through 23.